You see gorilla kakaya bearing. Just use space to tell your story.
Yes, are you ready?
Yes, go ahead.
I know. You're welcome to Safe Space on Women Radio 91.7. I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and I hope your day has been amazing. You're welcome once again. This is your show for honest conversations, conversations that would help you become a better person, for honest conversations. And this is where your voice matters. This is a space where you're free to tell your story, you're free to share your story, and you would also get advice. This is the place where you get uplifted, you get support, and get inspired. So sit down, relax, and make sure that you pay attention to every conversation that we'll be bringing to you today on Safe Space. And of course, I am not alone today. I'm not going to be alone today. We have barrister Kayode Omoshebi here in the studio. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Awesome.
Yeah, how's your day been?
We thank God, though. We thank God. And yours?
Fine, fine, amazing. So, Barrister Moshebu will be taking us through today's conversation on safe space. And make sure you listen, make sure you call when you need to, and make sure you take home something very important today, because we're going to get a lot of insights, a lot of wisdom, and valuable conversations in today's show. So, please, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Fifolua. Awesome to be here again. We have been talking about domestic violence and abuse and the role of the parents, and somewhat what we refer to as our parents being part of the factors of abuse. Statistics show that 79% of our parents will tell us to return into or return back to our abusive marriages. Only 21% of parents would actually intervene and save their children in abusive marriages. This has been an anomaly because in the animal kingdom, there is no other animal except humans that would watch their offspring in abuse, in affliction, in violence, or in danger and not respond. This was what I referred to as an anomaly. Where did this come in from? We found that most victims that succumbed to fatalities or to fatal injuries in abuse are people who at one time had left their marriages, their abusive marriages, but were told to go back, especially by parents and their religious circles. Last year, we lost over 300 women in abuse, in violence to their marriages, to their spouses, as a nation. And you would find that almost 42% of them had left but came back. Today, we want to examine something else under our space of abuse, which I would term child abuse. Now, a child is globally recognized as any person below the age of 18. Now, this is a universal definition as concocted by the United Nations, and you know that the United Nations consists of 193 countries out of the 195 countries in the world. The only countries that do not belong to the United Nations are the Vatican City and Palestine. So it tells you that every country you get to, the definition of a child remains the same. Any person below the age of 18. More specifically, I would want to talk about the girl child today. The girl child has been all through history an endangered species, which means of all genders, first of all, we have the women being disadvantaged. Now, the girl child as the most endangered. Why? I will talk about further about sexual abuse of the girl child and what we call defilement. Now, the Cambridge Dictionary defines defilement as the action of spoiling something or someone so that that thing or person is less beautiful or pure. Merriam Webster defines defilement as to contaminate, taint, pollute, to make impure or unclean. But legally, that is according to law, defilement is any sexual intercourse with a child under the age of 18, whether or not the child consents does not matter. It is legally a criminal offense. And what is very disturbing is that at every point in time, throughout all ages, the girl child has been the most endangered in humanity. But they came from somewhere. They have a father and mother. They have cousins, they have uncles and aunties. They have a family who is supposed to care for them. But still, in a lot of cases, this has been shown to work against them. Now, don't get it wrong. The boy child also goes through their own horrors, but the girl child is monumentally beyond comparison. I would give you some statistics. In 2015, UNICEF reported that one in every four girls will be sexually abused before they turn 18 years old in Nigeria. However, by 2023, the statistics now show that one in every three girls will be sexually abused before 18. Now, the female child between the ages of 16 to 19, 0 to 5, 9 to 14, are four times more likely than the general population to be victims of defilement, rape, and attempted rape, or what we call sexual abuse. Now, Nigeria has the largest number of child brides in Africa, with more than 23 million girls and women who were married as children, which means sleeping with a child under the age of 18 is a criminal offense that warrants a life imprisonment. It is the same crime as murder. It is seen as the same crime as armed robbery or murder. Now, a 4-year review of sexual assault cases in Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LASUS, that began in 2008 and ended in December 2012, showed that out of 287 reported cases of sexual assault, 83% of the victims were below the age of 19. Another year study conducted at the Enugu State University Teaching Hospital between 2012 and 2013 revealed that 70% of the sexual assault victims were under the age of 18. And the survey shows that the victims knew their perpetrators. So, this shows us that the most critical age for the girl child is between 0 to 5, 9 to 14, and 16 to 19. Now, 90% of child sexual abuse victims know the perpetrators in some way, and currently 70% are abused by family members. So, this tells you that a girl child is more likely to be defiled inside our own home than anywhere else. So, here's my problem. How fathers and mothers don't know that their children have been defiled and they live in the same house, even when the signs are obvious and the trauma is visible. Almost every month, I get a call from teachers asking how to tell a mother or parent that their child has been defiled, not in the school, but the child told the teacher it is from home, but are begging the teachers not to tell their parents. So, how is it that children prefer telling outsiders if they have been sexually assaulted than telling members of their own family? It is something that baffles. They would rather tell their teachers, they would rather tell people outside than their own parents. Now, most children become victims of abuse. The critical kind of abuse is called neglect. Neglect is simply failure to act. Failure to act. Now, children who come from homes that their parents are very busy, and children who comes from homes where the parents are religious, where daddy is busy Monday, special communion service Tuesday, Holy Ghost service Wednesday, prayer meeting Thursday, prayer meeting Friday, evangelism Saturday, choir practice, workers meeting. Children that come from homes that the parents are religiously absent, and who come from homes that parents are very, very busy with work, are number one victims of possible sexual abuse. The first thing is that statistics show that when a father is present in the lives of the children, the girl child is less likely to be a victim of defilement, sexual assault, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, or defilement. So there is something about fathers who are present in the lives of their children, especially the girl child. The presence of a father has been shown statistically to affect the vulnerability of their children to abuse, especially sexually, from the outside. So we can conveniently say, if the statistic is that 1 in every 3 girls will be sexually assaulted or defiled before the age of 18, it shows you that 1 in every 3 girl child has an absent father. This means fathers are not really present in the lives of their children. Now, there are some very terrible statistics to this. It shows that abused and neglected children are 11 times more likely to engage in a criminal behavior as an adult. In fact, 80% of 21-year-olds who were abused sexually as children met the criteria for at least one psychological disorder. It was found in 2018 that 46% of all women in prison were abused as children. Abused female children are less likely to practice safe sex and puts them at greater risk of STDs. And also, almost 30% of them are more likely to experience teen pregnancy. So we have very, very serious consequences of child neglect, which is child abuse, especially sexual abuse from the girl child. What is next? That is what I ask. What is next? Why is it that parents who are supposed to be the enclave, the safe space for their children, fathers who are supposed to be protector, provider, and statistics prove this by showing that fathers who are present in the lives of their children have children who grow up with more self-confidence and self-esteem. Their female children are less likely to experience defilement, sexual harassment, or rape. This is a big problem, because right now we have an epidemic of defilement going all across Nigeria. We have cases about last month. We had to rescue a 14-year-old who just delivered for her own stepfather right here in Ogun State. We About 4 years ago, there was a case where we had to arrest a gentleman who had two children by his own daughter in Ajeromi Feludu in Ajegunle local government LCDA in Lagos. About 7 years ago, we had a case where a mother had two children for her own son. The mother had been sexually abusing her own son from the age of 16, and by 21, they already had two children together. That tells you that not only the girl child, but the boy child also has his own struggles with sexual assault, defilement, and rape. Today, I would focus on the girl child because when it tells you that 1 in every 3 girls will be sexually assaulted, defiled, or raped before 19, it tells you that we have a pandemic, an epidemic affecting our children, especially the girl child. 0 to 5, you find children already with their hymen penetrated. The girl child from the ages of 0 to 5. 4 years ago, we had a case where a 12-year-old was already HIV positive. Before her life started, her life had already been taken away by someone. The problem number 2 that we have are cases where parents now choose to settle with the abuser of their children. It is very rampant now where we say, okay, let us come, let us settle it. By that settlement, you have just released another pedophile into society to go on to the next victim because your child was not their first victim. But if the person who had their own experience before your child had reported and insisted on prosecution, that would have saved your own child, who was their next victim. But the rate at which our tradition, our culture, our law enforcement choose each time settlement. I was involved in a case in Aja where the man paid the mother 12,000 naira to forget about the case. They took the money and left the case. We had another case that was late last year when the man said, let me kuku just marry her. And they wanted to collect bride price for a 13-year-old. This happened in Aja. They decided to withdraw the case from the police station. The man said, let me kuku. And they were actually considering it. That since you don't know the child, what kind of mentality is it that parents are having? That it seems as if their sense of responsibility to their children have been hotwired and they are living in a state of confusion of duties. It is not your duty to enable your child's abuser. It is your duty to react. It is very rampant. Wọ́n ti wá bẹ̀bẹ̀, má bínú, èṣù ló fà á, iṣẹ́ èṣù ni. And it is wonderful that the number of problems this devil has caused, he has not caused it by himself. We never see him in the issue. It is these people that will come in the name of the devil, perpetrate the act, and then blame the devil for what he was not present to perform. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to start paying proper attention to the girl child. And I need to tell especially those who are too busy, the parents that are too busy, especially those that hide under the pulpit. I call them pulpit homes. It was 4 years ago, I was with the now assistant commissioner of police of the state CID, Panti Lagos, in the charge of the gender unit. And she was pleading that you need to tell these people, each time we come, it is pastor's child, pastor deacon's child, this one's child, that the children of our religious leaders, people also given to religion, who holds various positions, who are dedicated in church and in their mosques, in their religious responsibilities, who have chosen to always be more available to their religious calling than their homes. There is a problem. The absence of parents makes your children very easy targets. Why? Because you are not just there. Each time we have a matter, it is either you will find out that it is a religious, it comes from either a religious home or a traditional home, which I think is now code name for an absentee parent. They say that because they are doing God's work, they expect that God too will be doing their work in the home. They keep saying, "Bá ń ṣiṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run, Ọlọ́run nípa tiẹ̀ tì." That is, if you are working for God, God too has a duty because you are helping other people and their families, that God too will help you and your own family. Thinking that neglecting your family, saying God will take care of them, is funny because you are working for this same God. But when you ask, where is this God's son? You find out that God is with his own son. The Bible tells you that he is seated by his father by the right hand of God. God is with his own son. You, where is your own child? You left them to serve a God who is with his own child. It is very funny when you say that through him all things were made, without him nothing that was made was made. You find out that God involved his son in everything that he did. Young man, young woman, where are your children in all that you are doing? Choosing, thinking a career is more important. If the career is more important, then leave the children. Don't bring the children here. Don't bring children into a place of neglect. Don't bring the children into a place you will not be able to take care of them. Leave the children where they are in heaven, not yet born. And let people who will have time, who will create time, let them be the ones to. It is a very, very disturbing where you find how much neglect children suffer and how you open them up. We have a case in Apapa right now where we had to, that was a week and going to 2 weeks now, the gate man of the school. It was a school, the gate man, a primary school. During break time, during when children are going back home, you find the gate man praying on the children. A lot of the children wanted to talk, but by the time their parents come back, they have slept. The following morning, they have gotten up, they've gone back to school. By the time they want to talk, the parents are not around, they've slept. So you find so many children not having someone to even report to. And there are some that the way you have structured your home is such that they cannot even say things like, somebody touched me. Say, what were you looking for? Ikilo wa lọ síbẹ̀, ìgbà tó fọwọ́ kàn ẹ́, ṣe? What were you, you now start blaming the child and then turning it into a religious or traditional matter. So the children, knowing who you are, will not tell you, but will rather tell somebody else that this uncle touched me here. This auntie is always touching me there. This uncle would strip and bring out something. What a Hausa child said, there is a black snake in between the gate man's feet. That's what she said in Hausa, that there's a snake in between the gate man. That's how we knew what she was talking about and had the man arrested. Where are the parents? Where are the parents? Now you find children by the age of 16, 17 taking some drugs already, smoking already, taking alcohol, and we say, the devil is after the children. No, you find out that a lot of them are getting into habits that would take their minds away from what happened to them. This is what they use to relieve how would I call it? Yes, to relieve the trauma of sexual abuse. They can only do that through smoking, through drinking substances that will knock out their senses, because they just don't want to remember the trauma. Nobody to talk to, nobody to tell, because it will be used against them. So you find children who have been sexually abused already into hard drugs. You think it is our child has started. No, but you did not notice when it all started. When children who were very active before suddenly become withdrawn. Children that will play very very much before, suddenly they just stopped playing. Children that were brilliant in class, all of a sudden they started failing or they started not being participating. And you say, what is wrong? This child is changed. No, that is a trauma. That is a pointer to trauma. Something has happened. But we come from somewhere. How is it that right under our parents' nose, even our relatives, 72% were sexually harassed and defiled by family members, uncle this, brother that, living in the same house? We had a case about 6 years ago where the father's younger brother from the east came to clear some goods and take to the east. He was always coming when his goods arrived. He would come to Lagos, clear them, take them to the east, but at the same time defiling the daughter of his older brother. She got pregnant at 12, only for she was just always falling sick. By the time they got to the hospital, she was already 3.5 months pregnant. Was then she opened up and said it was daddy's brother. Father could not believe. Well, the case, they had to go and withdraw the case because, it is a family matter. We cannot, you want to send your brother to prison. You want to, but at what expense? Your daughter is already traumatized for life at 12, pregnant. But you chose to save your brother instead and then traumatize your child for life because they went through some careless medical procedures just to stop the child from coming and damage the womb of a 12-year-old. The prognosis is that the womb might not be able to carry a child while she's an adult. But because we do not want to spoil the family name, we would cover the case up. And then the consequence is that my brother will not come to my house again. That is all. Where fathers and mothers choose family and friends over their own offspring, they choose to fight for family, fight for friends, fight for relatives, rather than fight for their own children who have been abused. What name do you have to protect when your daughter already will not give you grandchildren from the age of 12? You think the child will not remember what happened and how your family destroyed her future. It's amazing. But one thing that is amazing about the psyche of the human spirit is that when you see your parents fighting for you, or you see people fighting for you, even at the cost of a very terrible trauma like defilement, rape, it gives there is a hormone secreted that encourages courage. You see, courage is not the absence of fear, but in spite of fear, it gives you a little motivation to live. It encourages you, leads you out of depression. When you see that people are fighting for you, depression is put aside. But when your rights are trampled upon, you find sorrow, you find bitterness, you find loss of self-esteem and self-confidence. That is why a lot of our children are falling into the hands of strange women and strange men, because they have lost whatever courage or confidence they should have had as an adult, because it was taken away from them as children. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 in every 3 girls in Nigeria will be defiled, sexually abused, sexually assaulted before the age of 18. 1 in every 3 will be raped before the age of 19. You know, once you are 18 and below, it is not called rape, it is called defilement. You can only rape an adult, that is someone above the age of 18. So it tells you that by the time a girl between the ages of 18 and 19, a girl is more likely to be raped, 4 times more likely to be raped. But where are the children's parents? Where are our families? They come from somewhere. Parents, and by extension, the community, should consider where we have an association of damaged children, where there is a union of abused daughters, of abused. What future can you expect? Almost 70% of the female inmates in Kirikiri prison are there for murder. And it is not just murder, murder of a loved one, a lover or a husband. 49% of them were abused as children, that is, sexually abused, defiled, or harassed. A lot of them were sexually molested as children. This trait has made some unable to stay in a marriage. Nowadays, you find women that will tell you, listen, I just want to give birth to a child and then stay single. They cannot find themselves committed to a man because they cannot forget the trauma that men subjected them to. Before their sexual organs even matured, they had been defiled. Before they knew what it was, they had been molested. Before they could say yes or were capable of giving consent, they had been sexually abused. Parents, especially fathers, this is a call because what we have seen is an anomaly, something that deviates from the pattern. First of all, in adults, we find that majority, 79% of parents, will tell their children to remain in an abusive marriage, while only 21% will tell them to leave an abusive marriage. That is for adults. Now, 1 in every 3 children, that is the girl child, 1 in every 3 girls will be sexually assaulted, abused, or defiled before the age of 18. Right there under the same roof of the parents, and not even tell the parents. They would rather tell people outside because they cannot tell their parents. Why? Number one, absentee parents, fathers not available. Number two, religious parents who will turn it to their fault. Why did you do? Instead of going after the adults that knew better, they would face their children. In fact, the case that we had just a month ago, where the child just delivered a baby girl, a 14-year-old child, delivered a child, that is a child giving birth to a child, for her stepfather. The mother was still attacking her own daughter. That, so you want to destroy my marriage. That was what she was saying. I wanted to charge her as an accessory to the crime. But because they have 2 minors, the father already is in prison, pending trial, because, of course, uh, you cannot impregnate a 14-year-old. You cannot even sexually touch. You cannot defile. It is a crime. It is life imprisonment. Defilement is life imprisonment. Parents, stop settling. Stop settling. Stop and let us settle the matter. Please, let us just come together as a family and settle it. And a stranger will come, they will just come for settlement. What is the meaning of settlement? I don't understand. Because it is only one person that is happy. That is the defiler. The person who assaulted your daughter is the only one that is happy. Your daughter is not happy about it. Your daughter cannot forget the trauma, how painful it is. But you would rather settle with an outsider to the trauma of your own offspring. Parents, fathers, your presence in a home is security. Your presence in the lives of your children, not your presence as in your absence. Some are there like they are not there. Some are there on the religious capacity. But when they say a father that is present in the lives, that is the father that is involved. You find that when you get to children's the open day, you find that it's full of mothers. When you get to parents teachers associations meetings, you'll find that it is full of mothers. Where are the fathers? But for the fathers, you see, they are sitting down, interested in knowing whether what they taught their children at home is the same culture and character that they exhibit in school. You find out that their children will more likely skip through the risky ages in child development without being sexually abused, defiled, or molested. Why? Because their father is there. It is just statistic. Present father, present protection. Absent father, open to abuse. So, I noticed you were looking at me. I hope you are not reminiscing, wondering, as a woman, how
Yeah.
do you feel about that?
I mean, like thinking about everything you've been saying, I just feel very, very sad because many people would actually not talk about it, like you've said, and a lot of people are going through this on a daily basis, which is really sad. So we go about in the streets and we have broken ladies, broken guys. I even recently just knew that men actually go through this as well. They
Oh,
go
yes.
through abuse,
Oh, yes.
and we don't even let them talk. Like, that's the problem. Like, we don't let them speak, we don't let them share their thoughts. A guy spoke about him being sexually abused some days ago on social media, and people were like, "Oh, go and sit down, Jerry. Are you know a guy? Are you know a man? Like, forget about it. That's gone." Like, come on. Somebody is emotionally down here, and all you can say is be a man. It's just sad that that's what the society has become, and that's what we've gone into. I feel like people should I believe that everybody listening right now will take time to actually reflect on this and protect our children, like from a very young age. Protect our children, even if you can't avoid them being sexually harassed, because you can't go with them to every single place they go. Be a person they can easily come to speak to.
You know that 1 in every 7 boys
Yeah.
will be sexually harassed,
Yes.
molested, or defiled. You know, you can also
Mm-hmm.
sexually penetrate a
A
man.
man. I didn't even know
And
they rape men.
they
Like,
do.
I heard they rape men
They
too.
do.
How?
Children,
Ah.
children. 2 years ago, there was a pastor who sodomized, it's called sodomy,
Hmm.
who sodomized 3 brothers from the same
Same
mother.
mother.
Said that there was a problem, a familiar, whatever. He did
Hmm.
it with one of the children and told him to do it with
His siblings.
his siblings, all
God.
there while they were. He was
Is that not
arrested.
wickedness? Like, is that not the height of wickedness?
Uh, it is well.
Ah. Okay, for anyone who would like to join these conversations and you'd like to share your thoughts with us, what do you think about this matter? Have you experienced something similar? What would you like to say? Please give us a call on 07000 917 917, and you can also call 09155 917 917. You can also call our toll free number, that's 0800 1235 917. Please call us to share with us
Than their own family members.
what you think about this current situation. What do you think about sexual abuse? Okay, we have a call right here. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Okay, Dr. Manuel. Yes. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yes. Yes.
Hmm. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. You know, it's when you say psychological, is it that they are not in control of their senses or they don't know what they are doing? So you are saying that someone who abuses children is a psychological effect that he has no control over. He has no control over. So even sciences don't really agree with that. That mm. Sir, okay, all right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So as not to confuse people. If it was something you were not, there is a law against it, meaning uh, okay, someone else is that. Let us hear what that has to.
Hello, good evening. Your name and where you're calling from? Okay. Merci.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, loud and clear. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh wow. Please, could you say that again? You,
Yes, we can hear you. Can you please say what you said now again?
99%.
Okay. She said she's
Uh, because the devil has used that one to torment the family. That is not true. That is not true. I can tell you for a fact, a lot of people actually have a lot of work. They don't know how to balance work and home. You can't say that 99% of parents who are not there because they are not the real fathers. If they know they are not the real fathers, then what are they doing? Working and sending them to school, paying school fees, knowing that this is not my child. That is not true. And it's also beginning to be ridiculous when you begin to call a metaphysical being like the devil as the cause of. Listen, on Judgment Day, we all know that every man will pay for what he has done. So you can't go before God and say, God, it was not me, it was the devil. You know that you will pay for what you did. So if the devil was an excuse, then there will be no judgment because all of us will say, God, it was the devil. Oh, then God will say, oh, it was the devil. Okay, don't worry, you can enter heaven. That is not an excuse. Even in law on earth, you are responsible. If you can know when to eat, when to sleep, if you can know how to buy clothes for yourself, you know the difference between good and bad, then you now say when you do something bad, knowingly, you now choose to say it was so. Please, we need to move away from that school of thought. In every country in the world, once you defile a minor, it is a crime. In the eastern part of the world, you will be killed. in the western part of the world, you will be sent away for life. In Nigeria, it is life imprisonment. You can't bring the devil in court, in any courtroom, to any police officer, to any judiciary, to any courtroom and say it was the devil. You did it. Your fingerprints were there, your DNA is there. If it was the devil that did it, then it will be the devil's DNA. But it is your DNA there, it is your fingerprints there, and you knew what you were doing. We need to move away from this devil syndrome. We need to move away from this you are not in control of it syndrome. That means that on the last day, on the judgment day, then God will not be a righteous judge because why? It wasn't me. God, it was the devil. Do you think that will pass the judgment of, it doesn't even pass any religious judgment. It doesn't, there's nowhere in the Quran, there's nowhere in any religion in the Bible where you can use the devil as an excuse for what you did. Adam and Eve. Adam said it was the woman you gave me. Eve said it was the serpent. But at the end of the day, the judgment was for Adam and Eve. You will sweat before in labor, and you will sweat to eat. Now, God did not blame the serpent, although the serpent also got his. But you will get the consequence of your own action. Let's forget this, the devil syndrome. Please, let's move on.
Yeah, we really need to start to take responsibility for our actions, because before you do anything, you must have thought about it in your heart. You must have thought about it over and over again before you now decide to go and do it. So we should take responsibility for our actions, and the devil really did not
They
do
never
anything.
drink poison. Why didn't the devil push you to go and drink poison? You didn't
Why
drink poison.
defile a child?
The devil did not push you to run into an oncoming vehicle. You didn't jump off the bridge into the river.
Into the lagoon,
but it is this one that is the devil.
Convenient.
I don't understand.
No, we really need to start taking actions for So the numbers once again: 07000 917.
I think you are very fast.
Okay, I'll slow it down. The numbers to call to join this conversation: 07000 917 917, and you can also call 09155 917 917. You can call our toll free number, that's 0800 1235 917, to be a part of this conversation today and share your thoughts with us. What do you think about this situation happening all around us? Literally everywhere you turn right now, you will see a girl that has been defiled, a boy that has been defiled by family members that are meant to be the ones who you should run to when you have issues. They are the same people that are defiling you on a daily basis, and it can be really sad sometimes. So let's hear from you. Let's hear what you have to say, what you think about this issue, and let's hear your thoughts concerning this issue this evening on This Is Safe Space on Women Radio 91.7.
I think we have just five minutes left.
Okay.
Neglect is just the main problem. Child abuse is in acts of commission, that is what you did, and what you did not do. Neglect is just failure to act.
Yes.
Neglect is what you did not do. Meanwhile, neglect is the greatest form of child abuse, which makes up to almost 60% of child abuse cases. Neglect. They were just not there. Failure to act when you were supposed to act. That's the widest form of child abuse. They call it, there's one, physical neglect. That is when a parent or caregiver does not provide basic needs like food and all that. Educational neglect is failure of a parent to send the child to school. Emotional neglect is when parents do not respond to the emotional needs of the children suffer from. It's just neglect. How do these predators, how do these men find vulnerable girls to lure and sexually molest or harass? Neglect, absence of the child. And then one very important thing, families must teach their children sex education. Sex education is what will tell a child, if they touch you here in your breast, at your bum or your pelvis area, you must report. You must tell me. Anyone that molests a child threatens the child. If you tell, I will kill your father. Do you know me? My name is Pawon, Pawonton. My name is Ikuoro. You know, some people will tell you, if you last year I killed 4 people. If you talk, I will kill your parents.
That alone is a form of trauma for
And the
child.
child keeps quiet because what? You have threatened, and they think that by keeping quiet, they are keeping their parents
Yeah.
alive.
We have another call.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Oh, we lost that call.
Network. So
Yeah.
the child is threatened. Nobody defiles or sexually molests a child without threatening them.
Yes.
So the child keeps quiet. But if you had prepared the child that this is what they will say. They will say, the child is already prepared and equipped for the world. That the moment it happens, you find some of them bold. That if you told, I would tell the way they respond by the time they get home, daddy, that thing that you said, this person touched me here, tried to touch me there,
Yeah. Hello, good evening. Hello?
May the network.
We can't hear you at all. Okay.
Oh, wow.
We can't hear you at all.
May networks be kind to us today.
Oh, it's sad.
We are molesting the network.
Oh, God.
Network abuse.
I mean, I know that it can be very some parents can find it not convenient to manage family and work, especially people that do 3 jobs or 2 jobs, waking up early in the morning, 5 a.m., coming back 10 p.m. It might not be easy, but let's find a balance.
The children must be in your consideration.
Yeah.
Now, look at this. You have that condition where you are taking 2-3 jobs. You have one child. You know that this is the next thing, you get pregnant for another child. That the first child, you don't have time. You now bring another one into that same condition. Then while you are still doing, you are not yet stable. You now see that they have a lady that I was with today, five children. I said, that's the end of discussion now. What do you want to come and tell me? There's nothing to say. You bring 5 children. The first child, how a first child is treated, raised, should determine whether you will give anybody a second child.
Yes.
You can't just be and some families will be counting it for you. The mother-in-law will say, "Omo meta ni mo fe o." They would have told you, right?
It's not the family that will take care of them for you. It is your responsibility.
You will give birth to the child. You will sweat for the child. They just want the number.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Anybody that comes to tell
yourself.
Anyone that comes to tell you that they want 3, 4, 5 children, they should give you a post-dated check. They have to have the money to back up their demand.
Yes.
You cannot just bring demands and that you cannot buy.
And
they will give you a post-dated check from primary to end of secondary. From that primary to end of secondary, you have deposited that money in the account. So we know that okay, that one is sorted. Yes. At least by the time it gets to the university, we'll be able to handle that one. But you empty words to start telling people to bring children into a home that they are not even able to cater for yet. One child, they're still struggling. You get pregnant again. You just increase the chance of sexual abuse on those children. Anyway, so I think our time is up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for such a valuable conversation, and I'm sure that some people out there would learn 1 or 2 things and make good use of everything we've spoken about today. Thank you so much to everyone who listened and who paid attention to today's conversation. This is Safe Space on Your Women Radio 91.7, and we had an amazing conversation today. A big thank you to Barrister Olumide Kayode Omoshebi for having us today and for staying with us from the
It's
beginning of
always
this
a pleasure.
conversation.
It's always
Yeah.
a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All
Until
right.
next time,
Next time.
stay safe, stay blessed. Good evening.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We see you next week.